Security Chief Kael'thas was reviewing quarterly safety reports when his entire console lit up red, 3 separate alarms screaming that a Class 12 combat incident had just occurred in Sector 7, the cafeteria. His primary hands flew across the controls while his secondary hands were already reaching for the emergency response comm. But what he saw on the security feed made all 4 hands freeze mid-motion. A human female, barely 5.5 feet tall, stood in the lunch line looking confused. Behind her, a 400-pound Krellian diplomat named Vex Thul was embedded 2 inches deep into the reinforced Durasteel floor plating, his ridged face expressing the universal language of, "What the fuck just happened?" "All units. Code Violet in the cafeteria," Kael'thas transmitted, his voice remarkably steady considering his cardiovascular system had just attempted to exit his body through his throat. "Unsanctioned Deathworld strength deployment. I repeat, unsanctioned Deathworld strength deployment. Evacuate non-combat species from sectors 6 through 9 immediately." According to YouTube analytics, 99.6% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, you'll help support the channel and never miss fresh content. He watched the feed as the human. His system identified her as Emma Johnson, 23, graduate student in xenolinguistics, looked down at Vex Thul with what appeared to be genuine concern. "Oh my God, are you okay?" Emma asked, reaching toward the Krellian. "Don't touch him!" Kael'thas bellowed into the public address system, his voice echoing through the cafeteria. Every species-appropriate eye in the room locked onto Emma, who jerked back, startled. "I was just trying to help," she said, looking around at the suddenly empty space that had formed around her. The cafeteria, which had held approximately 200 beings 30 seconds ago, now had maybe 40, and those were all behind reinforced barriers or heading for exits at speed. Kael'thas was already moving, his security team falling in behind him. This was exactly the kind of scenario that kept galactic safety directors awake during their sleep cycles. Humans had been granted provisional embassy access only 3 cycles ago, and the safety protocols had been argued about for months. Deathworlders always presented unique challenges, but humans were particularly problematic because they looked so harmless. He burst into the cafeteria to find Emma still standing in line, now holding her meal tray with both hands in what his threat assessment implants were screaming was a potential weapon grip. "Ma'am, I need you to very slowly put down the tray," Kael'thas said, keeping his voice calm and his hands visible. Emma blinked. "What? Why? I paid for this already." Behind her, Vex Thul groaned. The Krellian's legs were still visible above floor level, but everything from mid-torso up had been driven into the plating with enough force that the metal had deformed around him like he was a nail and the floor was soft wood. "Ma'am, do you understand what you just did?" "He pushed me," Emma said, her tone suggesting, "This should be obvious." "So I pushed him back. That's fair, right?" "You didn't push him," Kael'thas said carefully. "You embedded him into military-grade Durasteel that's rated to withstand direct plasma cannon fire." Emma looked down at Vex Thul again, then back at Kael'thas. "That seems like a floor-quality issue, honestly." The medical team arrived with heavy extraction equipment, the kind normally reserved for removing crashed shuttles from landing pads. The head medic, a Cillian named Janira, scanned Vex Thul and made a chittering sound that her translator rendered as, "Oh, you've got to be fucking kidding me." "How bad?" Kael'thas asked. "He'll live. Krellians are sturdy, but Chief, the impact force readings." Janira turned her primary eye stalks toward Emma. "Is that the human?" "Graduate student, xenolinguistics. Cleared all our safety protocols." "Your safety protocols are garbage," Janira said flatly. "This impact registered at 2,400 pounds of force. The extraction equipment is rated for 2,000. We're going to need the heavy lifter from the cargo bay." Emma raised her hand like she was in class. "I could just pull him out?" "No!" Kael'thas and Janira said in perfect unison. Seriously, it would take like 2 seconds. Ma'am, please step away from the Krellian, Kael'thas said. In fact, please step away from everyone. Just stand in that corner, the reinforced one. Don't touch anything. Emma sighed, but complied, carrying her tray to the indicated corner. Kael'thas watched his threat assessment implants continue their hysterical alerts as she walked. According to the sensors, she was completely calm, heart rate steady, stress hormones normal, walking with the relaxed gait of someone who hadn't just violated 17 galactic safety treaties. His calm chimed. The ID made his secondary stomach clench. Zara, Galactic Safety Director. Of course, word had already reached High Command. Chief Kael'thas, I'm reviewing the incident footage now. Zara's voice was clipped, professional, and absolutely terrified. Please confirm the human female was not wearing any strength enhancement technology. Confirmed. Standard clothing scan showed no tech beyond her personal comm device. And the floor is military-grade Durasteel? Certified last month. There was a long pause. I'm on my way. Don't let her touch anything else. Actually, establish a 5-meter safety perimeter. No, make it 10. And for the founder's sake, someone get me the safety certification data on every human currently on this station. The heavy lifter arrived, operated by a crew of 3 Urgathian cargo workers who took one look at the situation and immediately demanded hazard pay. It took them 45 minutes to extract Vex Thul, who spent the entire time groaning and occasionally asking what had happened to his diplomatic immunity. You initiated physical contact with an unrestrained Deathworlder, Janira told him while bandaging his
ridges. Your immunity protects you from legal consequences, not physics. By the time Zara arrived, the cafeteria had been converted into an impromptu investigation center. Emma sat in her corner, eating her sandwich, something called a club that contained enough protein to feed a Cillian family for a week, and reading a datapad like this was a normal lunch break. Zara was a Talaran, tall and elegant, with the kind of presence that made junior officers check their uniform fastenings. She reviewed the security footage 3 times before speaking. Show me the bio readout during the incident, she said finally. Kael'thas pulled up the data. Heart rate, 68 beats per minute. Adrenaline, baseline. Cortisol, baseline. Muscle tension, nominal. She registered as completely calm during the entire event. That's impossible. Deathworlder aggression triggers biological responses. Fight or flight. Hormonal cascades. This reads like she was, what do humans call it? Grocery shopping. The translator says, grocery shopping. Yes, Director. Zara walked over to Emma's corner, maintaining the 10-meter perimeter. Ms. Johnson, I'm Director Zara with Galactic Safety Command. I need to ask you some questions about the incident. Emma looked up from her datapad. Sure. Am I in trouble? Because he pushed me first. There are like 40 witnesses. We're aware. Can you describe what happened from your perspective? I was waiting in line and this big scaly guy, Krellian, Kael'thas supplied. Right, the Krellian was behind me and he kept standing really close, invading my personal space, you know. Then he actually pushed me forward, pretty rudely, and told me to move faster. Emma shrugged. So I turned around and pushed him back, just to establish boundaries. My mom always said to stand up to bullies. Zara's facial tendrils quivered. You pushed him back. Yeah, I mean, not hard or anything, just enough to make the point. Not hard, Zara repeated. Ms. Johnson, that push generated approximately 2,400 pounds of force. Emma's eyes widened. What? No way, I barely touched him. The floor disagrees. But I was being gentle. Zara's tendrils went completely still, which Kael'thas had learned meant she was experiencing the Talaran equivalent of existential dread. Ms. Johnson, when you say gentle, what percentage of your actual strength would you estimate you used? Emma thought about it. I don't know. Maybe 5%? Less?
It was just a little push. Chief Kael'thas, pull up her safety certification data. Kael'thas did so, his own sense of dread mounting as he reviewed it. She passed all Deathworlder protocols, physical restraint training, force modulation assessment, aggression management, emergency response limitations, all marked as approved. Who conducted the assessments? Automated systems, per standard protocol. Her bio readings during the force modulation test showed excellent control. She never exceeded the 50-pound threshold on any exercise. Zara turned back to Emma. Ms. Johnson, during your safety certification, did you ever feel like the tests were challenging? Not really. I mean, they told me to push things, and not push things too hard, so I just did what they asked. The robot told me I had excellent restraint and gave me a passing score. And at any point, did you push as hard as you could? Emma laughed. God, no. Are you kidding? I could seriously hurt someone if I did that. Plus, I'd probably break your equipment. That's just common sense. The silence in the cafeteria was profound. Kael'thas could hear his own respiratory systems working, could feel his primary heart skipping beats as the implications crashed over him like a tidal surge. Director, he said quietly, I think I understand the problem. Enlighten me, Chief. Our safety protocols are designed for species with biological limiters. Beings who physically cannot exceed certain force thresholds without extreme stress or rage responses. The automated system was looking for biosigns of maximum exertion. And humans? Humans self-regulate, socially. The biological capability is always there, but they're trained from childhood to suppress it voluntarily. He looked at Emma. She passed our tests perfectly because she was, in fact, showing excellent restraint. She never even came close to her actual maximum capability because she's been conditioned since infancy not to. Zara's tendrils began slowly writhing, the Talaran equivalent of a nervous breakdown. So when she decided that a little push was socially appropriate, she used what she genuinely believed was minimal force, 0.03% of maximum according to her own estimate, which means at full strength. Kael'thas did the math, then wished he hadn't. At full strength, she could have put Vexthul through approximately 17 decks. Emma had gone pale. Wait, seriously? I mean, I know I'm strong, but... She looked at her hands like she'd never seen them before. That can't be right. Ms. Johnson, Zara said carefully, what's the heaviest thing you've ever lifted? My friend's couch? We were moving apartments. It was one of those old sectionals, super heavy. Maybe 300 pounds? And how difficult was that? I mean, awkward? It was bulky and we had to get it through a doorway, so that was annoying, but not like hard. Zara looked at Kael'thas. Get me high command, now. This is a galaxy-wide safety crisis. Over the next hour, the cafeteria filled with increasingly senior officials, each one reviewing the footage and data with growing horror. Emma finished her sandwich, then her dessert, something called chocolate cake that contained enough sugar to put a Cillian into hyperglycemic shock, and waited patiently. Finally, a holographic projection materialized. Grand Admiral Korvax, head of the Galactic Council's Safety Commission. Let me see if I understand this correctly, the Admiral said, his three eyes fixed on Emma. Human safety protocols have been fundamentally flawed since first contact because we assumed Deathworld species couldn't voluntarily suppress their maximum capabilities? Correct, Admiral, Zara confirmed. And this human female embedded a 400-pound Krellian into reinforced durasteel using approximately 0.03% of her actual strength? Correct. While experiencing no stress, anger, or combat readiness? Correct. Because from her cultural perspective, a gentle corrective push was the appropriate social response to his rudeness? Correct. The Admiral was silent for a long moment. I'm going to need someone to explain to me how an entire species can be walking weapons who genuinely don't realize they're walking weapons. Emma raised her hand again. I can explain. I mean, it's not that complicated. Please, the Admiral said. I'm clearly missing something fundamental about your species. Okay, so humans are pretty strong, right? We evolved on a heavy gravity world with lots of predators. But we're also super social. We live in big groups, and we figured out really early that if we just went around hitting each other at full strength, everybody dies. So we invented rules. Rules, the Admiral repeated. Yeah, like, don't hit people is pretty much rule number one for kids. We spend our entire childhood learning how to be gentle, how to control our strength, how to interact with fragile things without breaking them. By the time we're adults, it's just automatic. We're always operating at like minimum power, because that's how you exist in a society without accidentally killing everyone. She leaned forward, warming to her topic. Like, when I pick up a kitten, that's a small Earth animal, I use maybe 0.001% of my strength. When I hug my grandmother, maybe 0.1%. When I push that rude guy, maybe 0.03%, because I wanted him to feel it but not, actually hurt him. The idea of using full strength against another person? That's for life or death situations. That's for when someone's trying to kill you or someone you love. So your entire species exists in a state of constant physical restraint, Zara said slowly. I mean, I guess. We don't really think about it that way. It's just being civilized. You don't go around pushing people through floors, just like you don't go around screaming in restaurants or stealing food. It's basic manners. The Admiral's eyes blinked in sequence, which his species did when processing disturbing information. And you genuinely believed that your push was proportional to his offense? Well, yeah, he pushed me first. I pushed him back. Tit for tat, that's fair. She paused. I didn't realize your floors were so fragile. Our floors, Kael'thas said faintly, are rated for direct weapons fire. Oh, Emma looked genuinely distressed. I'm really sorry about the floor. Is it expensive to fix? I can help pay for it. I have a stipend. The Grand Admiral made a sound his translator couldn't process. Finally, he said, Ms. Johnson, you're not being charged for the floor. However, we clearly need to completely redesign our Deathworlder's safety protocols. Does this mean I'm banned from the cafeteria? Emma asked. Because the sandwiches here are really good, and it's convenient to campus. You're not banned, but we are implementing some new rules. He turned to Zara. Draft an emergency directive. All personnel are advised that humans operate under voluntary strength suppression, not biological limits. Physical contact with humans should be avoided unless absolutely necessary. And for the Founder's sake, don't push them. What about Vexthul? Emma asked. Is he okay? He'll recover, Janira reported from where she'd been monitoring the Krellian's treatment. Mostly his pride is injured, and possibly his diplomatic career, since he initiated physical contact with an unrestrained Deathworlder and is trying to blame you for the consequences. Actually, the Admiral said, let's address that. Chief Kael'thas, please officially revoke Ambassador Vexthul's diplomatic immunity pending a full investigation into why he thought pushing a human was acceptable behavior. Emma's eyes widened. Wait, you don't have to do that because of me. Ms. Johnson, he pushed you first. By your own social standards, your response was proportional. By our standards, he committed assault against a member of a species that could, apparently, punch through a battlecruiser's hull plating if sufficiently motivated. He's lucky you showed restraint. But I wasn't showing restraint, Emma protested. I was kind of annoyed. The officials exchanged glances. Zara's tendrils had started writhing again. Ms. Johnson, the Admiral said carefully, what would you have done if you weren't showing restraint? Well, probably actually pushed him, like enough to knock him down, maybe make him stumble back a few feet. I don't know, I've never actually hit someone in anger. My parents would kill me. Your parents, Zara said, who are also humans. Yeah? Who could also punch through battlecruiser hulls. I mean, my dad's pretty strong. He does construction. My mom's more of a distance runner, but yeah, she could probably... Emma trailed off, finally seeming to grasp the situation. Oh God, you guys are really fragile compared to us, aren't you? We prefer to think of you as exceptionally durable, Kael'thas said diplomatically. And strong, Janira added. And terrifying, Zara muttered. Emma put her face in her hands. This is so embarrassing. I just wanted to get lunch and study for my xenolinguistics exam. Now I'm a galactic incident. Not an incident, the Admiral corrected. A learning opportunity. Ms. Johnson, you've actually helped us identify a critical flaw in our safety systems. We've been assessing Deathworlders based on our own biological limitations, not considering that some species might have developed social and psychological limiters instead. So, I'm not expelled? You're not expelled. In fact, I'm told your safety certification will be used as case study number 1 in the new training protocols. Why you should never push the Deathworld girl. Emma groaned. That's going to be the title? Seriously? Would you prefer Don't Piss Off the Humans? That's not better. Zara stepped closer to the 10-meter perimeter. Ms. Johnson, I do have one more question. If someone did attack you with genuine intent to harm, what would your response be? Emma considered this seriously. Honestly, I'd probably try to leave the situation first. De-escalation is always better than violence, but if I couldn't leave and someone was really trying to hurt me or someone else, I guess I'd do whatever was necessary to stop them, hopefully without killing anyone, because that would be traumatic and also probably illegal? Probably, Kael'thas confirmed. But yeah, if it was life or death, I'd fight back. Anyone would. The officials exchanged another round of significant looks. Right, the Admiral said. New directive addendum. Humans will, if pressed, defend themselves with full Deathworld capabilities. Do not press them. Do not threaten them. Do not assault them. And for the love of all that's holy in the galaxy, do not push them in the lunch line. This is going to change everything, Zara said quietly. Every human currently in galactic space needs to be reassessed, every safety protocol rewritten. Every species needs to understand that what looks like a harmless bipedal creature is actually a precision-controlled weapon system. We're not weapon systems, Emma objected. We're just people. Ms. Johnson, you embedded a Krellian into a military-grade floor with a gentle push. Okay, when you put it like that, it sounds bad. It is bad. It's also magnificent. Terrifying, but magnificent. Zara's tendrils settled into a pattern that Kael'thas recognized as resigned acceptance. Welcome to galactic society, humanity. Please try not to break anything else. Emma finally smiled. I'll do my best. Can I go now? I really do have that exam to study for. You're free to go. Just maybe avoid physical contact with other species for a while. That's been my policy since I got here, Emma said, standing and collecting her things. Humans are huggers. I learned pretty quick that most aliens are not. She walked toward the exit and the crowd parted before her like she was radioactive, which, Kael'thas reflected, she might as well be. At the door, she paused and looked back. Hey, if Vexthul wants to apologize, I'll accept it. I don't want him to lose his job over this. I mean, he was rude, but nobody deserves to lose their career over one mistake. Then she was gone, leaving behind a cafeteria full of officials staring at each other in stunned silence. Did she just, Zara said slowly, offer forgiveness to the person who technically assaulted her? Humans, Kael'thas said, pulling up his personal files on Earth cultural studies, apparently value something called mercy very highly. It's considered a virtue. Their weapon systems with mercy, the Admiral said. That's almost worse. At least with regular Deathworlders, you know they'll respond with overwhelming force. Humans might just forgive you and feel guilty about defending themselves. Terrifying, Janira agreed. Absolutely terrifying. Kael'thas looked at the Vexthul-shaped dent in the floor, then at the door Emma had exited through. I need to update my report. How do I explain to High Command that the most dangerous aspect of humans isn't their strength, but their self-control? Very carefully, Zara suggested. Very, very carefully. 3 hours later, Emma was in the library, successfully avoiding thinking about the cafeteria incident by focusing on verb conjugation in Scythian tertiary dialect. Her comm chimed with a message from an unknown sender. It was from Vexthul. Ms. Johnson, I am told that you advocated for my continued employment despite my inexcusable behavior. I offer my sincerest apologies. I did not understand what I was doing, though ignorance is no excuse. If you are willing, I would like to buy you coffee and learn more about human social customs, so I do not make such errors again. V. Emma smiled and sent back a reply. Coffee sounds good. Fair warning. Human handshakes are gentle, but apparently still enough to crush most species' manipulator appendages, so maybe we skip that tradition. See you at the Java station at 14 Sah. She went back to her studying, completely unaware that across the station, emergency meetings were being held, protocols were being rewritten, and an entire galactic civilization was coming to terms with the fact that humanity had arrived. And humanity, it turned out, came with some assembly required, specifically, assembling the courage to exist in the same space as beings who could casually demolish your infrastructure while apologizing for the inconvenience. In his office, Kael'thas finished his report with a single line that he suspected would be quoted in safety manuals for generations. Human restraint is not the absence of capability, but the presence of choice. We would do well to remember that they are choosing to be gentle. He submitted the report, then added a personal note to his own staff. Be nice to the humans. They're being nice to us. Let's not test what happens if they stop.